Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what I was doing wrong there.
I think we all were doing it wrong.
All right, what time is it? I've held us up 5 minutes. My apologies. Is everybody else straight?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm watching it on Facebook. I guess there's a delay, but I probably shouldn't look over there. Should look over here.
Commissioner Ingram is muted.
All right.
Just trying to save you from puppy noises.
We appreciate that. Is everybody on that needs to be on? I'm seeing 1, 2, 3. Yep. I think we've got everybody. So without further ado, I'll knock on the desk and call this meeting of the Kildare Hills Board of Commissioners to order a few minutes late. And we will get started. I think, you know what I didn't print out was Michael had given me a nice bit of coaching a few days ago about all the things I needed to say. So he was reminding me that we should identify ourselves before we speak for folks that might be listening but not being able to see us. So we'll try to do that. And if and when we take a vote, we'll try to always recognize who made the motion and who made the second, and have a roll call vote. So folks that are not able to see us can still follow along. And hopefully that will make this thing work again. You know, the positive is we don't have to wear masks to do this, which is a bonus, but it has its own challenges. I don't think I'll ever really get used to meeting on Zoom. With that little introduction, let's try to do a Pledge of Allegiance, shall we? Do we have I know Michael's not there. Is he going to put up a flag, or we should just go for it?
Let's go for it.
We'll just go for it. All right.
Go for it.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That is really hard to do because there's a little bit of delay. But thank you for trying, and we'll just gather our thoughts here for a moment and think of all the folks that have been affected by this terrible pandemic and everybody else that's struggling to get through it. Will you join me for a moment of silence to think about those things? Thank you. Forgive me, was there, I recall earlier in the week, somebody said they wanted to make an amendment to the agenda. Is that still the case, or is our agenda good to go?
No, I need to make a amendment to the, this is Commissioner Gray. I need to make an amendment to the agenda, Mayor, to add under introductions and presentations, an item number 2, presentation by the Dare County Motorcycle Toy Run.
All right, we will consider that a motion from Mr. Gray. Do I hear a second?
Commissioner McAvoy, I second that motion.
All right, we have a second from Commissioner McAvoy. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go through. I guess we have a yes from Commissioner McAvoy, a yes from Commissioner Gray. Ivy?
Yes.
A yes, and John?
Yes.
Okay, great. And a yes from me, that makes it unanimous. We have an amended agenda now. Just to make sure we got Robert's Rules of Order, we now need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved, Mayor.
All right, we have a motion. We have a motion from Terry, and I heard
Second.
somebody. Oh, sorry.
Second.
Yep.
A second
Yep,
from
4 or 5
Ivy.
seconds.
All right, we'll get through this. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor. Let's see, we've got a yes from Ivy and a yes from Terry. Mr. Windley?
Yes.
And where am I going? Mr. McAvoy?
Yes.
And a yes from me. We have an agenda. That was painful. All right. Oh, well, you know, you gotta laugh to get through this kind of stuff. All right, so we have an agenda, and the first item on our agenda is public comment. short, basically, yeah, if you'd like to speak, let us know by raising your hand or sending us a text. I have a few to read to you that were entered via email earlier in the week. So we'll start off with those. But if you'd like to speak in a little bit, let us know. We'll recognize you and unmute you. And you have 3 minutes to speak, 5 minutes if you represent a group. That's the short version. Let me start off. We had 2 emails from folks that are residents of the town that have businesses on Lake Drive. They are interested in weighing in on that presentation that's coming up later in the agenda. Get sure I can scroll here. What's happening? There we go. All right. So there were 2, and they were basically a carbon copy of each other, aside from 1 or 2 unimportant words. So I'm just going to read it one time. They came from Richard Quidley of the Brenderick Incorporated Retail Group, doing business as American Classics Garage. That is on the bypass there at 1808 South Croatan Highway. And the other, of course, now I can't find the other one. Here we go. And the other one, which was basically a carbon copy, was from Mark and Carla Hutchins, who own Country Deli down in that same neighborhood there. So it read this: Dear Commissioner Gray in one case, and Dear Town of Kittleville Hills, and whom it may concern, from the Hutchins. And then it goes on to say, I see the town will be receiving a presentation from engineer Sterling Baker with NCDOT at your December 14th board meeting. It's my understanding that this presentation will focus on future plans and projects that NCDOT has within the town. I ask that yourself and the commissioners will again bring up the subject of the need for a stoplight on Highway 158 and Lake Drive. Previous studies have shown a need for the light at that location, yet the project has lacked funding. With the addition of the new brewery at the east end of Lake Drive and a new gas station and fast food service just south of the intersection, the congestion and traffic hazards are certain to be increased. These new factors, coupled with the Lake Drive and Fresh Pond industrial areas having no other access to a traffic signal, make this light more important than ever. I do hope that in the interest of public safety and convenience for traffic flow for the general public and the industrial traffic, that a path to funding and bringing a light to this intersection can be found. Thank you for your time and for your service to our community, the aforementioned authors. So those are our first 2 entries into public comment. Meredith, are you looking at the, is anybody raising their hand or?
We have 1 public comment, and it is they would love to thank you for the Santa visit.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I got a lot of personal positive feedback from the Santa tours around town. So, and a huge thanks from us here on the board. I think I can speak for the whole board and say that we really appreciate all the police and fire and staff that work together to make that amazing thing happen. It is well liked by a wide swath of the community and really brings some good cheer in a pretty tough year. And we're looking for good cheer where we can find it. So thank you on behalf of everybody and the board. Any other public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll close public comment. I think I kind of jumped the gun on responding to public comment. Do any of the board members have any other response to public comment? I will consider
Mayor,
that. Oh, yes, go ahead.
John Winley here. I think I saw a comment just pop up from Dylan, but I didn't have a chance to read the whole thing.
I think it was thanking the board for the planning board appointment, but it popped up quickly for me as well. So, but that's what
It's from Dylan Hyken. It says, hello all. I appreciate the board's consideration in being reappointed to my position on the planning board. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for serving, Dylan. We appreciate it. All right, if there's no other response to public comment, we'll move into our agenda. The first item is the introductions and presentations. We will give the floor to Mr. Baker at the NCDOT. Thanks for being here, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. First of all, to say my name is Sterling Baker, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting any of y'all except Commissioner Gray. We've met a couple times.
Yes, sir. Good
Um,
to see you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you. But yeah, I will apologize. Gretchen Byron was going to be on the call also. She was going to get in from her house, but the internet at her house is like mine. That's why I'm still at the office. It's not working too good tonight. So I'm back at the office to try this. But I do have Win Bridgers on the line with us. He's our division maintenance engineer. And Gretchen is our division project development engineer. She's in charge of the design and keeping things on track, like resurfacing, getting that to contract, Collington Road project, things like projects that we'll give you an update on tonight. I do apologize. We don't have a real presentation. I was just going to go over some projects that I know are probably key to the town. And then if y'all have any questions for us, we'll be glad to answer those. I know one thing that was mentioned in one of the emails was Collington Road, which for us is referred to as R5014. We are on schedule to go to contract with that in June of 2021. And that's an estimated cost of $16 million for that project. And I'm sure a lot of y'all have heard of the financial issues that the department has had over the last year and a half. We are slowly climbing out of that deficit and are getting in a better position, especially for the projects such as Collington Road and things like that. Our maintenance and operation budgets haven't seen they've seen an increase, but not to the increase that they were pre-COVID and everything like that. Another project of interest, I'm sure, is US 158 resurfacing. We will go from the rest area there at Southern Shores all the way to the to 64 345 intersection. We will let that in May of 2021 with a date of availability, which means that's when the contractor can start, of September 2021 and a completion date of December 2022. I know it seems like a long time, but we have to break some of that up because of all the traffic and everything down at the beach in y'all's busy season. And there's some pipe replacements and things such as that as a part of this contract also. And that's estimated at $9.5 million. I also had Win contact our county engineer, Jeff Ryder, and he had a couple of items that he was looking at doing around town. One is a replacement of a large diameter culvert under 158 at 3rd Street. That's going to be done as a part of the resurfacing project. Let's see. Driveway culvert condition at Speedway Convenience Store on 158. The pipe is functioning and not slated for replacement. There was also a cross line where there was some drainage issues at 2nd Street. The pipe ends have been opened up and the ditch cleaned out to improve the drainage. And then right now, I know we have several pipe structures and ditches throughout the town that we would like to do some maintenance and improvement on, but based on budgetary constraints, we're going to have to postpone or defer that to next fiscal year till we see what the condition of our budget is. Those are the only items that I had. I'm sure y'all got some more y'all can think of if y'all have any questions for us.
Mr. Baker, Commissioner Windley here. Thank you for making time for us tonight. You heard, I believe you did, the public comment we had about a stoplight at Lake Drive. This isn't the first time this has been brought to our board. People have been asking for this for quite a long time, and I'd just like to get your input on that of what could be done to address it.
Well, I will say it has been going on for a long time, for years. And I got both of those emails about 3 hours before the meeting. So I have not been able to track down both of our traffic engineers. They're both off today. But I may have to defer to Wynn. I don't think we have it as a funded project, do we, Wynn? Your volume's not coming through, Wynn. Yeah, still no volume. We can't hear you. Your mouth's moving, but we don't hear nothing.
Meredith, do you need to unmute him?
He is unmuted. And I've just checked and everything's open. He should be able to speak freely.
That is odd. Huh.
He might have to change a setting on his, if he's using his work computer, so we have to change some settings if we're at the house.
He would have need to made his audio come through his computer, which sometimes
It's not working, Wynn. But Commissioner Winley, I will say I do not believe it is funded. And right this second, the spot safety projects, some are getting funded, some are not. Let me do some more research to get up to speed, because honestly, I haven't seen anything besides those 2 emails on this intersection in the last couple of years. But let us do some research and we will get back to you on that. I meant to mention that when I started, but I forgot about it. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I have one more question, and I'm sure it's one you fielded quite a few times. Is there any timetable at all for replacement or upgrade of the Alligator River Bridge?
I wish. We are working on the environmental document. We have been able to jumpstart some of the work on that as a part of some of these projects coming loose, because all the 64 corridor got put on hold as a part of the budgetary issues last year. But we have been able to actually, as recently as week before last, energize or reactivate that particular project. We hope to have our goal is to have the environmental document completed by June of 2021. And then will come right now we're meeting with various federal and state elected officials to see the best way to fund the job, because technically it qualifies mainly as a bridge replacement program, but it would take 2.5 years of the state's total bridge replacement funding to complete the bridge. So we don't want to deplete that at the same time. So we're trying to work out some additional funding sources that we can tap into.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else have a question?
Yes, Mayor. Commissioner McAvoy here for Mr. Baker, if I could.
Please.
Thank you again, Mr. Baker, for spending your time with us this evening. I wanted to echo that Lake Drive concern there that those 2 business owners sent, in that it's an area of town that's going to even be getting busier. I'm not sure you're aware, but even since that was a concern a few years back, I think that, there's 2 businesses about to blossom right there south of that intersection. And, anything you can do on that would be appreciated, because I think it's about to be a very busy section of town.
All right, will do.
Thank you.
Enter your participant ID followed.
Oh, someone else is
We can now hear Win. He doesn't need to call in because I can hear him dialing his phone.
He's
Oh,
muted
mute.
again.
Technology is fantastic, isn't it? But I agree with Sterling. I know Lake Drive has been looked at and it was studied. And it seemed like it just exceeded, I would think it just exceeded the threshold to qualify for a signal. But funding at the time it qualified was unavailable. So as Mr. Baker said, we're gonna have to go back and reinvestigate and see where that goes. And if there are new businesses and new demands on the intersection blossoming, we may have to reinvestigate and rerun the numbers.
Well, I think I speak for everyone to say I appreciate you doing that.
You're exactly correct. With those new businesses, I want to echo what Commissioner Winley and Commissioner McAvoy have said, that it's just going to get even more congested. And sometimes we can see traffic back up on Lake Drive almost halfway down the street itself. There's a lot of industrial shops back there. And like some of the emails said, there's no other access to a stoplight to be able to get out. So folks are really at the mercy of the traffic before they can get out. And there's been quite a few accidents, as I'm sure you're aware. So I'd just like to echo their sentiments too. I do have another question for you as well. Are there any plans to do anything as far as improvements on the drainage systems that run along the bypass? I know that your concern from NCDOT is that unless it affects the travel on the bypass, then it's not something really that you usually address. But we've got a couple of spots that are backing up in neighborhoods. And it's because of some of the drainage ditches are stopped up and so forth. So is there an overall plan that y'all have in dealing with the upgrade of the drainage ditches that run along the bypass?
I'll defer to Win on this. I know we do have, well, we don't, in KDH, I don't think we have a defined plan per se. I do know several years back, we worked with Duck and Southern Shores on a cost share plan to look at those issues and how they were impacted, both on them and us, on their streets and our streets. But I'll defer to Win if they have any actual plans for anything. You got to unmute, Win.
Yeah, I'm not aware of a specific plan at certain locations. I know that Jeff has tried to work closely with the town employees to address some of it. I know there's been obviously a lot of development, all through KDH, which has probably increased a lot of the discharge from off right-of-way properties towards some of our drainage facilities. We've tried to accommodate some of that. Some of that is likely going to reach a point where it almost becomes enhancement of private drainage if we get if we accept it all without responsibility of who's contributing to it. There are also, I guess, certain limitations in our facilities that there are cross lines under NC 12. There are driveways and whatnot, large commercial driveways that may have been installed by others, that if it's providing drainage for our facilities, then you're correct. We sort of let that go as sufficient for us. I think the thing about it is, if there's off-site drainage that needs to be done and improvements off-site that require work on our right-of-way, we have to determine the benefit rate cost ratio of how it comes along. So each of them would have to really be looked at on a case-by-case basis, and we'd be glad to do that.
We'd appreciate any help.
If
working-
somebody,
Yeah, we'd
oh,
appreciate
yeah,
it.
we'll be
working
glad to
with,
work with it,
Public Works.
and if you and make contact with Jeff Ryder, start with him there at Manio, and then we'll get involved and elevate it and determine, what's going on with it. And we'll try to deal with them as they come along.
Well, we appreciate everything that you do. And, we just, Public Works is, the KDH Public Works has got a pretty good handle on the hot spots. And we appreciate y'all working with them, and thank you very much.
Yes, ditto. We all appreciate it. One last question. I think we might be wrapped up here. Looking at a wider scope, we're all kind of one tourism destination. Is there any news to report about the Currituck Mid-County Bridge that affects the traffic here, every weekend?
Yes, sir. That is, give me just a second. I got a project update on that yesterday.
Oh, new news.
Currituck. Where'd it go? You had to forgive me. Evidently, I get a lot of emails.
Comes with the territory.
Once again, this project for us is, known as R2576 Mid Currituck. We are still meeting with the agencies and things like that, working on the environmental document, but they are mighty close to finishing all that up and have submitted permit drawings or are in the process of submitting permit drawings. I know they're going back and forth with the agencies on the permit conditions and particular things like that. Right this second, we are, let me click on this button. We are, here we go. Let's see, we are looking at having a design and development of permit applications completed spring of 2021. Then we will work out the financing with the toll partner summer of 2021. And our tentative plan is to go to construction in summer of 2022. Now, all that is abiding that there's no lawsuits or anything like that. I think you're muted.
Done mute, Mayor.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I know that's been a long time coming. We appreciate your efforts on that, and we'll cross our fingers for minimal lawsuits. How about that? Maybe no lawsuits. Dare I wish for that. One more chance for the board members. If anybody else had another question for the engineer.
Just other than to say thank you very much for making yourself available to come give us an update. We appreciate that and appreciate all that you do for us. Sterling, great to see you.
You too, man. No problem.
Thanks again from me and from the whole board and from all our town folk as well. And thanks for the investment in the area. We're glad to be having those projects coming up soon. Thanks.
Yes, sir. And if y'all think of anything else, just let us know. And
We'll
we'll get back to you on Lake Drive signal.
We appreciate that. Yes, we'll pass it along. Thank you again for all your time. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
Take care. All right. Well, that was item number one. I believe it was Commissioner Gray that added item number 2. Who are we?
Yes, sir.
going to, sir?
I just want to do a brief update like we normally do each year for the Dare County Motorcycle Jeep Toy Run. We had a tough year this year with the pandemic. We had projected to raise about $50,000. We fell short of that. We're going to settle in somewhere around $40,000. And we had a successful event September 26th, and we had the Killable Hills Police Department that provided traffic control for us, and we wanted to show appreciation to them. I dropped off a plaque today, appreciation plaque at Town Hall, and they, from what I understand, they will be posting a picture of AC Harris and the plaque in a couple of days on social media on the town's website. But this is the 5th year we've done this, and we didn't have any incidents, no accidents. We had 100 motorcycles, we had 60 Jeeps, and on that particular event, we raised $8,500. So we can buy a lot of kids in Dare County Christmas, and maybe they will have a merrier Christmas than they would have had if we hadn't have done it. So just a brief update, Mayor, and thank you so much, Board, for letting me amend the agenda for that. Need to unmute, Mayor.
Dang, I'm just like a rank amateur today. You missed me praising you and thanking you for all you do for the community and for the kids. We really appreciate that. I'm glad it's a good event for everybody, and great to see money raised for such a good cause. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You bet. Next is old business. Was there any old business we needed to bring back up? I don't think so. Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. We have a site plan before us for a cookout restaurant at 2005 South Croatan Highway in the commercial zone. It's a 1,500 square foot building with some parking spaces and site improvements. They're going to demo the building that's on that lot is the plan. This plan has been unanimously, what's the word I'm looking for? They're recommending approval from the planning board who met about it last month. Do we have a presentation, or where are we going to go from here?
Good evening, Mayor. Cameron Ray here, fellow
you
board
are.
member. Just wanted to give you just a quick little spiel. We do have the designer, Chris Clayton, who is the applicant for Cookout, here as a panelist. I'd like to give the opportunity to Chris to say a couple words, or if he had any questions for any of us. It's been a pretty smooth process, been nice working with these folks on this site plan, and they've gotten it to a point where it's very clean. Planning board was happy with it, and 2 minor comments at the last meeting, and they've gotten those straight. So that's about all I have to offer, and I'll see if Chris has anything he'd like to offer at this time.
Hey guys, it's Chris Clayton. I'm with Commercial Site Design. We're at 8312 Creedmoor Road in Raleigh, 27613. As Cameron mentioned, I'm civil engineer on the project. I'm attending here on behalf of Cookout Restaurants. Just very quickly, I'll kind of go down generally what's happening on this site. Cookout intends to redevelop the property at 2005 South Croatan Highway. The site's currently 0.73 acres and contains a realty building and associated parking lot. Cookout intends to redevelop the property with a new restaurant building with drive-through facilities. The building will be approximately 1,500 square feet, maximum height of 25 feet. We're proposing 18 parking spaces, all of which will be pervious paving material. The building materials will predominantly consist of Nishi-Ha paneling, along with some masonry column elements. The roof will be a gray standing seam metal roof. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Cookout Restaurant. They have about 250 stores. They're family-owned, North Carolina-based restaurant. They have no franchisees. I feel like we've addressed all of staff's concerns. As Cameron mentioned, I feel like it's been a smooth process for us as well, which we appreciate. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and we respectfully ask for your approval.
Yes, thank you for making it a smooth process. It was interesting to look at the back and forths and some of the paperwork that we got on the project. I don't know if Pete Berkheimer's on the call, but I want to give him a shout out for, he made some notes to help you save some money. And I thought that was very nice of him. We like to be customer friendly here in Killable Hills. And we also appreciate you designing it originally kind of overbuilt for a couple of things that were above and beyond what were really necessary. So thanks for that. And thanks for working with everybody on the little pieces. And like was mentioned, it's a very clean plan, which we like to see. I had one thought, and then I'll give it over to the other board members. I'm always looking out for live oaks. And I know there's one on the back of the lot there that is slated to come down. I get that it's kind of in the way of that. It's on the way to the dumpsters, I guess. If there's a way to save that tree, that would be super fantastic. I understand if it's not. I haven't really been out there to look at it and see how it is. I think it's 7 inches in diameter. But just thought I'd throw that out there as an idea. No requirements, of course, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, I understand that that's, those are a variety of trees that we like to save. Unfortunately, in this case, I mean, I'm looking at my grading plan and we have to raise that site up a bit to get the necessary depth on our infiltration basin for the stormwater requirement. And we're literally grading up to the property line back there. So I don't unfortunately see any way that we can save it, but I wish we could. Unfortunately, we just can't.
Well, thanks for looking at it. I totally get that when you've got grade issues. But yeah, we just made the live oak our official tree for Killable Hills, so I figured it was worth a mention.
Understood.
But again, thanks for a great looking plan. Any other board members have any comments or questions?
I thought it looked pretty clean, Mayor, Commissioner Gray.
Thanks. Yeah, and nice to have a bike rack in there. It's the little things sometimes.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I did get an email, a single email from somebody who was, I guess, anti-chain businesses, I guess. But of all the businesses we could get, we always like to see a North Carolina company. Also, it's private property, so folks can do what they want. But mostly, I've got to say, I've had hundreds of people very excited about having Cookout come to the town. So it's a popular project.
It's generally the case with Cookout.
Yeah. Burgers and milkshakes doesn't get much better.
Yeah.
I've heard the same, Mayor.
Right. Yeah. The mayor has a mayor's Facebook account, and usually it gets a few little flickers of people might notice something I say on there. If I get 2 or 3 likes, I'm excited. But the Cookout post went super viral. Tens of thousands of people commented on it. It was great. So yeah, you're very popular out there. So we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Anyone else before we're looking for a motion to approve, I assume?
Mayor, Commissioner Windley here. I'll make a motion of approval that we approve the Cookout Restaurant site at 2005 South Croatan Highway as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Windley.
Gray, I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Windley, a second from Mr. Gray. Is there any further discussion?
No, sir.
All right, hearing none, we'll consider those 2 ayes. Ivy?
Yes.
Is that a yes? All right.
Yes.
And Mr. McAvoy?
Muted.
Muted. Uh-oh.
Yes, sorry.
There he is. That was a yes. Okay, and you've got a yes for me, so we have unanimous approval for the motion. Motion carries. Thank you for being on the call, sir, and good luck with the project. We're looking forward to seeing it, and we'll be over to have a burger with you.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Take care.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, the next item on the agenda is housing options. As folks may recall, we had a discussion about it at the last meeting, actually last couple of meetings. It's a big topic around town. The accessibility of housing. We have needs, both short-term and long-term. We have pricing issues, availability issues. And so we're always looking and taking a fresh look at what are the options to help that challenge for our community. So Staff had been working on this over the past month, and they have put together a few options for us to talk about, and looking for a little bit of feedback from us. Meredith, do you want to lead off the discussion?
I will. You summarized the first two paragraphs really well. I'll just go through the options that I've offered you and give a little bit more explanation if you'd like.
Super.
One option was to reduce the minimum lot size for duplexes to 15,000 square feet. It's currently 20,000 square feet. That will increase the number of sites that can be developed as a duplex. Just to give a little bit more information on that, right now in every zone besides the residential low zone and the maritime forest, duplexes are 20,000 square feet, but you can build a multifamily townhouse or apartment or condo on 15,000 square feet. So
Does seem a little inconsistent.
but in the residential zone, that is not the case. So it would be a change for the RL zone. So you know, you may want to consider it for all zones. You may want to only consider it for the ones that allow the multifamily on 15,000. That's something for you guys. Just thought I'd put that in there for you to think about. The other thing that we talked about was developing regulations to allow accessory dwelling units. I included several ordinances in your packet from Duck, Kitty Hawk, and Dare County. They have not had a proliferation of the accessory dwelling units since most of their ordinances were adopted in 2018, but they have had some, so that is worth looking at. I outlined what we would do as an ordinance amendment, which would be to clearly define the accessory dwelling units, to limit accessory dwelling units to one per lot, regulate the sides to a particular percentage of the primary dwelling. A lot of time that's 50%. Sometimes it can be less. Establish parking requirements, establish use requirements. In other words, not allowing accessory dwelling unit to be used as a home occupation unit versus a dwelling. Permit accessory dwelling units on 15,000 square feet, same as the recommended change for duplex, and create an accessory dwelling unit as a permitted use in the zones in which single family dwellings are allowed. Like I said, Ducks permitted 3 accessory dwelling units since February of 2019. Dare County has had 6, but only 1 or 2 since their regulations were expanded in 2018. Kitty Hawk's permitted 6 since their ordinance was adopted in 2018. Staff stands ready to answer any questions and get some feedback from you guys that we could possibly take a proposed amendment for the planning board to consider.
Super. That was really helpful, particularly the ordinances from the other towns, as well as the details about how many units have been permitted and built, which is not very many, but we do like the fact that it would not only help, we talked about this last meeting, some of the benefits include not only having the accessory dwelling unit be available for somebody at a price point that's more accessible for folks who are just entering the workforce or you know, doing the work of our tourism industry, but also it allows the homeowner to have some income, which can help folks out too. Makes the primary dwelling more affordable in that way. So really, I guess if I'm understanding you correctly, you're kind of looking at where do we fall in relation to the differences from those other towns. There was one, I think a couple of them limited them to 800 square feet. One was 1,200. Then there were height limits. I think 27 seemed to be common. I guess that's there are reasons for those additions to the restriction of it. I suppose the idea of not having it be more than 50% is so that it's not really a duplex. But maybe that's not necessary to have that as a restriction. Maybe it could be 75%, or maybe it could be the same size. If you had a small, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and you wanted to build another 2-bedroom, 1-bath, would that be a bad accessory dwelling unit? Or I know that one of the ordinances went to great lengths to say they could not be sold separately, which I think is a good idea. And then there's the issue of one of them had, maybe you could explain a little bit more about the deed. I can't remember what it's called, something to do with the deed where you would require it to not be used for commercial things, I think is what it was. So I need to learn a little bit more about that, but let me open it up to the floor, to the rest of the board members. Do you have thoughts about those issues that I just mentioned? Size, height, square footage, percentage of the main dwelling?
Okay, Mayor, if I could ask a question. This is Commissioner McAvoy here. Meredith, is 6 or, yeah, 6 since 2018 in those towns, in your opinion, is that a lot of permitted usage, or is that a low number you would assess? Because I don't have any way to, quantitate that in my head, but is 6, does it seem like a lot of people have taken advantage of it, or is that just a really low number?
It's not a particularly large number. I think quite a bit of that has to do with the environmental health regulations for having additional dwelling on the property versus it being a good option for housing.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes. Yes, because that's what I'm trying to see, if this would be something that, I think most of us are wondering, is this something that will make an impact? Is it something so small that it won't make much of an impact, but it would be beneficial to some, of course, to be allowed to do it, but would it make an impact in any, sizable way to our, employment housing or even housing needs in Kill Devil Hills? To me, just looking at it, I am wondering, of course, how many properties are in that 15 to 20,000 range. Obviously that's something I would like to know, but also, and I know it depends on the zone. So if we're into the change for the RL zone, or if just the multifamily zone, which would we do it on? What kind of effect would it have? And is that the kind of development that we want? Is it consistent with the land use plan? Is it something that we'd like to see density on the density side? Because if it doesn't make a big dent in the problem, I'm not exactly sure that I agree with it necessarily being implemented. But, if I thought that it would do that, maybe, but, and I certainly understand it'll make certain properties more, profitable, but is that type of development the one we want?
BJ, do you want me to answer any of your questions?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. I'd like to hear what you think on that.
So as far as having a very dynamic impact, it's not likely that it'll be the game changer in the whole housing crisis that we're having here, but it will definitely provide an option that's not on the table right now in Kill Devil Hills, and we are by far the most dense housing in all of Dare County. Will it increase density? There's really not a lot of 15,000 square foot lots. So you would have to have 2 lots. So if you did a duplex or a house with an accessory dwelling unit, you would likely need 2 lots, which could be 2 single family dwellings. So you're really not increasing density except for in a couple small areas back in the back of Pine Grove Trail and the Wrightwood subdivision and a couple other, lots that were platted much larger. Our lots were typically platted in the 50s and 60s, and they're platted, as you know, some of them are 5,000. We have several neighborhoods that are 5,000 square feet. A lot are 7,500. The new subdivision we just did in Water Oak is mostly 7,500 square foot lots. So as far as changing density, you would need 2 lots, which could hold 2 houses. So putting a duplex or a house with an accessory is really not going to dramatically change the density, but it will provide an option for housing that we don't have now.
And I think it's fair to say that it is a long-term plan. Anytime you're not pouring money on a thing, it's just going to be a percentage of whatever people are going to spend their money on. That said, I think that in the long term, you see, when you look at bigger, more developed markets, in California and other places where there's an accessory dwelling in everybody's backyard. In a lot of big neighborhoods that were formerly big houses, and they might have a pool house or something like that, and it really offered a lot of housing for folks in the workforce. It is just one tool in a much bigger toolbox that we're looking at, trying to make a difference.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on what zones we agree to put it in, if we do so agree. And if it's the residential zone or if it's more than that. I mean, I don't know why you would combine 2 properties to then, to not have 2 homes on it. So that's probably not likely to happen. But, if you already own a property in that range, in that 15 to 20,000 range, then, it makes sense for you, likely, if you can afford it, to build it. But how many homes are we talking about? I think that's what everybody.
So
No.
Commissioner McAvoy,
Yes.
I put 15,000 square feet as a starting point for y'all's discussion.
Okay.
That's not what it has to be. If you said in the commercial zone, you wanted to allow accessory dwelling units where single family dwellings are built, if they can meet all the setbacks, health requirements, and parking regulations, then that's something that you can do. And the size of the lot wouldn't matter. It would be a function of whether they could make it work or not. And maybe in the residential low zone or less dense zone, you want to put the cap of 15,000 square feet, or, there's all kinds of options. And so I put 15,000 square feet that's our minimum lot size in our ordinance. So that's
Right.
what I put in there. We have an exception for single family dwellings, that single family dwellings are allowed to build on smaller lots if they were platted before a certain date. So you have options in there. If you wanted to make it 7,500 square feet in the commercial and light industrial zones, and 15,000 square feet in the residential low zones. So you're taking the higher density zones and allowing it on more types of property. And the lower density zone, you're holding that line.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes more sense to me. But yeah, well, maybe hear how the other commissioners feel about it. I've spoken enough.
BJ, let me ask one question while you're right there. Meredith, are these 2 separate issues, or are they combined as far as the ordinance change for the duplex and the ADU?
They're very separate issues.
Okay.
That's
what I was thinking.
You can choose to, again, if you wanted to say, because the commercial and light industrial zones allow multifamily on 15,000 square feet, we feel like in those zones, duplexes should be allowed on 15,000 square feet. But in the residential low zone or less dense zone, we want to hold that 20,000 square feet for a duplex. Again, you're not going to change density, because you will need at least 2 lots to build a duplex in most areas.
Right. The ADU, I don't really have that much of a hiccup with the ADU. As I kind of, I'm thinking, and this is just my thought at this point, on the RL zone, I'd kind of like to hold off on the duplex issue part, and let's kind of see what we get out of the changing the other zones. Is that going to be too much trouble, Meredith?
No, sir, not at all. So what you're thinking is that you would change to allow duplexes in commercial and the 2 light industrial zones, change that number from 20,000 to 15 to match more up with our multifamily requirements, leave the residential low
Mhm.
zone as is at 20,000 square feet for the duplex
Yeah,
issue. And then
that's right. And
perfect.
let's see what we get. I mean, let's see what happens with that. What,
And that makes it very consistent with our land use plan and our tiered
Mhm.
approach to zoning. So that is a very, very good idea.
okay, thank you. And what about, I talked to Cameron today. Can Cameron run over some of the lot size requirements from the other towns for us? For the duplex?
Yes, sir. He's sitting right here.
Hey, guys, I'm back in the saddle here. After speaking with Commissioner Gray earlier, I did have a chance to look into some of our neighboring towns, Kitty Hawk and Nags Head. Their zoning districts are scattered, similar to someone might think ours are. But in a nutshell, Kitty Hawk's minimum lot size for duplex is 30,000 square feet. The town of Nags Head, their minimum lot size for duplex is 22,500 square feet. So, we're still, as it is now, lesser, in site requirements than our neighbors. However, we have, notoriously, we have smaller lots, just how our town's been developed. But yeah, I agree with Meredith. It certainly makes some sense to, especially in our zoning districts, that you can build multifamily on 15,000 square feet, but you can't build a duplex unless you're on 20. It would be great to clear that up because we often have calls and sounds a little silly explaining those.
And that was some of my reason for the hesitation with the RL zone was, some of the our neighbors are requiring so much more. And, so, I mean, that's just my thought at this point.
I agree with you, Terry, on that. That's exactly what I was thinking as well with the.
Yeah, I like that too. I think that, at least we could see if anyone wants to take advantage of that in that area, but I don't know about for the RL zone. That would take a lot more thought.
And
I agree.
just so that I'm perfectly clear, the zones that currently allow multifamily on 15,000 square feet, you would like to make duplexes also allowed on 15,000 square feet. However, if the duplex is either not allowed or requires at least 20,000 square feet, you want those zones to stay the same. That would be your maritime forest, your residential low, and I'm checking OIR real quick, just 1 second. But so in the OIR zone, density for multifamily is based on the floor area ratio, not square footage. So I just need some clarification from y'all if you would like for duplexes in the ocean impact residential zone to be changed from 20,000 square feet, or if you prefer to leave that area alone too because of the sensitive nature of the zone.
I prefer to leave it alone.
I agree. Leave OIR alone.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so we'll look to change the commercial and the 2 light industrial zones.
Right. I don't know if it'll have an impact, like you said, but
And the RH zone, which is a very small area on the beach road.
Right.
I think if anything, it would at least make it more consistent. And
Right.
It would definitely bring our ordinance back in line, so that would be nice.
Yeah, I think that would, and so now we're gonna send this forward to the planning board, and then they'll study it and make a recommendation, and then of course we'll have to have a public hearing on it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay.
If the board would prefer, we can write the ordinance and have y'all review it one more time before we send it back to the planning board. That's not a problem either. Put it in ordinance form and be more specific. This was in general presented to create a discussion, and I'm more than willing to take this discussion and put it in an ordinance form for y'all to look at one more time before we send it to the planning board.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yes, that might be good. You know, and I guess maybe we haven't, the question is, have we really done anything by doing this? I mean, other than for consistency purposes, you know, change the something, but was that the intent of even looking into this? You know, I think we need to have a bigger discussion, you know, down the road if we intend to do anything greater.
Right, so we've really only addressed the first item, the first bullet from the presentation. The
Right.
second one about ADUs is a separate topic. So we've got a good plan there. I think we all kind of came into it knowing there was an opportunity there that's been mentioned at previous meetings. The ADU one, when you look at it separately, now that we've got the duplex put to the side, Meredith had started off with the 1,500 square foot requirement. It may be that there isn't a lot of appetite for that in the LI one, or I'm sorry, the residential low. But I guess what I'm thinking of, one of the other ordinances that we looked at mentioned, you know, ADUs are typically a separate structure, but one of them or two of them could have an ADU within the same inside of a house. When I look forward in the future, I mentioned there's a couple really big houses that were built in my neighborhood that's full of 7,500 square foot lots. When they're built to the maximum, they're pretty bulky and big. You know, in the future, when these lots keep going up and up in price, there'll be more and more pressure to try to get the price per bed down when the price of sand goes up. So we're looking at what kind of town do we want to see 20 years down the road? Do we want to have a small accessory dwelling in the backyard of a smaller house on a smaller lot? Or do we want to make it legal to have a small apartment inside of your house to help offset your mortgage and help somebody who's getting started have a place to stay that's small and affordable? Do we want to look deeper at that? Because I think that would move the needle a little farther when it comes to trying to solve the problem that we're all concerned about. But it's complicated and difficult. So yeah, I'm interested in continuing the conversation.
I saw that some of the ordinances also allowed accessory dwelling units as attached. And if that was something that this board was interested in, I think you definitely need to put a percentage of the primary, otherwise it's just a duplex. And
Good
we're
point.
already allowing a duplex. So you'd have to be very specific as to it would need to be a maximum square footage or percentage, much like Kitty Hawk with the 800 square feet. That's a sizable, that's 800 square feet is larger than many of our Avalon houses right now.
Yep.
Square footage wise, that's not a small dwelling space.
That's a good point, Mary.
You know, if you're going to allow them to be attached, then you need to make it restrictive. Otherwise, you're just getting a duplex. Particularly if you're going to allow it on 15,000 square feet, and duplexes, y'all have just decided to keep it 20,000 square feet in the RL zone. That could be a bit of a quandary for us, enforcement wise.
Yep.
I get that.
What can you actually
It
get?
may be that you just want to start in the commercial and light industrial zone like you've done with the duplexes, and allow them to be on any lot that is currently occupied by a single family dwelling, and see what happens, and not put a lot size on it. If they can get through the health department, you know, maybe then you're really actually doing something. And leave the residential low alone for right now and see how it goes in the other zones, and then bring the residential low in at a later date.
What,
Do you
what,
think-
Go
what
ahead.
did
That's a
you
great,
say
I like
Kitty
that
Hawk
idea,
was doing?
Meredith.
Sorry. What did you say Kitty Hawk was doing? They were limiting 800 square feet?
They do 50% of the size of the primary structure, or 800 square feet, whichever's less. So if you have 1,000 square foot house, you can only do 500 square feet. But if you have a 3,000 square foot house, you can only do 800 square feet.
You see, I kind of like that.
Yes. Well, that's what truly makes it an accessory dwelling, whether it's
Yeah.
attached or detached.
Yeah, yeah, because if you go much more than that, you've got two dwellings or a duplex.
Duplex, yeah.
That's what I think. I mean, and I mean, am I wrong in thinking that the ADUs are primarily for like a mother-in-law suite or something like that?
That's where it started. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now
started, right?
now they're being used quite frequently for the VRBO and Airbnb type of rental.
Right,
And-
right.
And
Yeah.
does that solve a housing issue? No, but on the flip side, it kind of does, because it allows our residents to be able to purchase a home and supplement their mortgage through an accessory dwelling unit so that they can purchase the home. So on the flip side, it's not providing long-term housing in a housing crisis, but on the positive side, it's making housing affordable for people that do want to live here permanently. So it does have some benefits outside of just providing a small long-term housing unit.
I see
John,
that.
John
I mean,
Winley here.
it could be long-term, but doesn't necessarily, it's not how most of them are being used at this time.
John Winley here. I like Meredith's logic here of maybe using the commercial and light industrial zones as starting points for this. Take some time to study it and see how it goes. And then down the road, if we find success with the right formula, we can maybe expand to our residential from there. And I like the health department litmus test as the standard for light industrial too. So, I think it's a step in the right direction, albeit not a small one, but a step.
Do you think it'll change, as Commissioner McAvoy, do you think it'll change the light industrial zone into more of a residential zone? Like
The light industrial, the light industrial 2 zone is
Yeah.
already primarily developed as a residential zone.
Right.
The light industrial 1 zone, there are some houses back there that the light industrial 1 on the bypasses is primarily developed as warehousing and as very few homes. So it's not going to make any tremendous difference in the light industrial zone. No one's going to go tear down a 20,000 square foot warehouse to build a house with an accessory dwelling. But
Right.
in our light industrial 2, that is very much developed residential.
Already.
So it could be very beneficial, depending on if y'all choose to put a lot size on it or just to simply allow them if they can meet setbacks, health department, and parking. The recommendation would be parking would be 1 space per bedroom, just like the primary dwelling. And the setbacks would stay the same. And if they could get the septic health approval for an additional dwelling, then, do you need to put a lot size limit on it? Or do you want to? That would be up to you guys.
Yeah, the LI2 zone could really kind of blossom into that more of a residential zone, I guess, with this change. I mean, it already is, but I mean, it could change the whole makeup of that zone, really.
Yeah, and Cameron just reminded me that is where 3 of our 4 multifamily dwellings in the past year and a half have been built, is in the light industrial 2 zone.
Right.
So it is already blossoming itself into a more dense residential area. Simply, its location is not on the bypass, but it allows greater density. So
Mhm.
What
Because it-
question for Commissioner Winley? John, is what you're thinking with the similar restrictions that Kitty Hawk uses as far as the square footage?
Reiterate that for me.
Are you thinking of the percentage and the limit to 800 square foot or percentage to whatever size structure you have?
For light industrial only, I'm kind of on the same page with Meredith's idea of if they can fit it in, just that zone, if they can fit it in with health department restrictions, parking and setbacks, give them the freedom to do so. Just for that one zone. It's not a terribly big zone, and there's so much multifamily there already. I think it'll only, add to that community. I don't see it making a big impact at all.
John, so
Yes.
you're saying that you don't want to put a lot size restriction on an accessory dwelling unit, but we did talk about that you would want to put a size restriction as a percentage of the primary, correct?
Oh, yeah, correct.
Yeah,
I wasn't following you guys. Yes.
Okay, so Kitty Hawk has 50% or 800 square feet, and if y'all are comfortable with those numbers, that's what I would plug into a possible zoning amendment. And again, I can bring it back to y'all in January, and you can mull it over for a while, and we can change those numbers any way you want.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going, John, because if you don't do that, you could wind up with, a 1,500 square foot ADU and a 1,800 square foot resident,
Gotcha.
And so I mean, my thought is that you need to use that, Meredith, what you were talking about as far as the restrictions, the percentage or the 800 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise it's just getting around the ordinance of what can you do on one lot.
I like that idea that you would draft that so we can look at it. And I think that, it's a very small step. I mean, but it's also not, I don't really necessarily like the idea of putting a Airbnb in front of everybody's property in the entire town, which, obviously this is not doing, but this is a small step to at least see how, we could possibly move in a direction, but not that direction, at least not in my mind.
Right. I think when Mr. Winley made the perfect point, which is the LI2 zone is already multifamily in character. It's mixed in with some warehouses, and this would not be disruptive or cause any conflict because it's not out of character for the neighborhood. But at the same time, it allows a lower cost price point. So, everybody's trying to do a little something in all the towns and across the county, and we're doing a little something and everybody's doing a little something. Hopefully cumulatively, we're taking a little bit of pressure off this challenging topic.
Mr. Mayor, one more clarification. And then I think I'm good to draft something for you guys. This would also be restricted to lots that are planned to be developed or already developed with single family residential. This is not for commercial lots, correct?
I mean, is there a problem for it to be a commercial? I hadn't really thought about that one.
It causes problems with some of our setbacks because it would then become mixed use, but y'all just changed some requirements for mixed use. So again, the clarification that we would want to put the restrictions, much like Dare County and Kitty Hawk would, that these could not be used for commercial endeavors.
Yes.
So would you want to allow them, or do you want to just start on residential and see if any of the commercial businesses, or go talk to some of the commercial businesses in the light industrial zone and see if that would be something that
would it be problem for them to convert from commercial to a residential property like that?
We just changed the ordinance at 2 meetings ago, Cameron. 2 meetings ago to change the setbacks so that mixed use and commercial had the same setbacks,
Right.
if y'all remember correctly. So it would be, they would be permitted to do something like that.
In that new part of their yard they're allowed to use.
Correct.
Right.
Well, no, in a part of the yard that they wouldn't be allowed to use if we'd kept the rules the same, but now they do have access.
And now they do, yeah.
Now they do, yeah.
The setback got smaller, so there's more buildable space. which
All the
adds value.
other communities restrict it to residential. So
Personally, I think restricting it to residential would be preferable for me personally.
Yeah, I agree.
But,
I agree
I
as
mean,
well. Restricted.
But you
to
mean,
residential.
you mean a commercial, the primary structure being, because we're talking about LI2, which is light
Right, the
industrial.
LI2, right.
but I thought y'all said you wanted LI2, LI1 and commercial. Did I miss something? Are we only doing this in LI2?
That's what Commissioner Winley actually said, I think.
Okay.
Is that right, John?
I think there's
Sorry,
some
guys. I'm having
opportunities
to
in the
mute my
commercial
phone 'cause
zone. Go ahead.
I'm trying to mute my phone because I got upset children in the background here. Please, I'm gonna step behind everybody. I feel any accessory dwelling unit built in either commercial or light industrial should be used for residential purposes. I hope that answers the question.
Right. The ADU itself would be used.
How about if I draft the ordinance and then we can decide what zones we're gonna put it in?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
That'd be good.
so
That
I
sounds
can
great.
get this drafted up for you guys and we'll get it back to the next meeting. You can decide where you want to put it.
That'd be good, Meredith.
All
Thank
right,
That sounds great.
thank
Sounds
you.
good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Good
Meredith. Thank you, Cameron.
and good discussion, board members. That was lively and good. We
It was.
inch towards a well thought out plan. And hopefully do a little good, as they say. Getting back to my agenda here, we're moving on to item number 3 in new business, which is Dylan still on the line. He was recently appointed to the planning board in the middle of another term when someone left. But now that term is up and we're looking to appoint someone to 3 years on the planning board, and he's the obvious choice.
So moved.
So there's the motion I was looking for from Mr. Gray. Do I hear a
Second.
second? And we have a second from Ms. Ingram. Any further discussion? Hearing none. The other 3 of you, Mr. Windley.
Enthusiastic, yes.
All right, Mr. McAvoy.
Yes.
All right, and a yes from me. Dylan, thank you for serving. We appreciate it. Now you're locked in for 3 years. Look what you got yourself into. No, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed my time on the planning board, and you will too. I know you already are. So thank you for serving, and we're glad to do it.
And while he's on the line, that doesn't get him off the hook with the WRG either.
I don't think he wants to get off that. I mean, he's into that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So having that out of the way, the next item is the number 4 Community Appearance Commission update. Who are we unmuting? Do we have someone there? We got a little thank you from Dylan there. Go ahead.
Board members, I'd like to, if you all don't mind, I'd like to bring this to the next CAC meeting to let that group read over it and discuss it some, so they can have some input in the decision before we make a decision on it, if that's okay with everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Go
Yep.
ahead. I don't have a problem with that. I thought they were up to speed. I'm sorry.
Kind of, but this,
I'm good.
they are to some of it, but not all of it. And I'd like to, share it with everybody in that group and collect their feedback and bring it back to our board, and then we can make a decision.
Hey, can I ask you, have you had a hard time? I mean, in that if it's restrictive like that and one member has to be, a bit, or a couple members have to be from business and a couple members have to be non homeowners, is that is that been too restrictive in the past?
We've always had a couple of applicants on file. It's
Okay.
never been where we had to, well, we've recruited people. I mean,
Okay.
if you meet somebody you think they're really good, we want to invite those people to serve. But, we want to, while we want to have a diverse group, we also want to have a talent pool of people, willing and able to serve. So removing the barriers that are, the requirements, I'd like to get the CAC's
Yeah.
input on it. Because I know some people really want those different voices. Where I'm, my feeling at this point is, let's open it up for as many people who want to serve that it can. I like the idea of, sometimes we have people, it's not wrong, people double dipping on multiple boards, but opening up opportunities for folks to serve who don't have one now is important too. So,
Yeah.
let me take this back to the CAC, have a good discussion, and we'll bring it back early next year.
That sounds good.
Good with that?
Oh, muted, Ben.
Hey, that's 3 in 1 meeting. You guys gonna have to fire me. It's just so small. I'm using my phone instead of the computer and I keep forgetting it's on there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the CAC has to say about it and let them, they're all very passionate and dedicated. How they like to see it moving forward is definitely important to get those voices into the conversation. I have moved on. Let's see, I got off the wrong page. That was the last item in new business. So we are moving on to commissioner's agenda.
Committee reports.
Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Oh yeah, there it is, hanging on the very last part of the previous page. Committee reports. Who do we have first?
Mayor, I
John,
can go.
would you like- Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just like to thank everybody who volunteered and attended the Community Appearance Commission's beach cleanups in November. We ended up teaming up with the Surfrider Foundation on the 14th. We had a subsequent cleanup on the 28th. They weren't big events, but they were well attended. There was high participation. Thank you, Ivy. You were there for one. And, I think it was enjoyed by all. So it was a good, the CAC had never done a small ones like that before. So a good learning experience, and we'll decide early next year if we want to keep doing it. But, thanks to everybody who came out. And our next CAC meeting is January 28th, 8:30 a.m., 8:30 in the morning at Town Hall.
So do we need to wait two months to talk about this again? Or because we'll have a
Yeah.
meeting before that.
Trust me, no, because we always meet on the fourth Thursday, and that's too close to Christmas. Trust
Too
me.
close to Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be awful hard to achieve a quorum that week of the year.
All right, we'll take it up in February then, the reorganizing business. All right, thank you for that. Is there another committee report? Is that the only committee we have?
Mr. McAvoy.
I'm sorry, go
Committee.
ahead, Terry.
Oh, not committee. I guess it is. We have a committee.
Yeah.
We have a small committee. I'm sorry. We talked about updating an update on the opening up of the potential opening up of the fresh pond. And we had a meeting last week. Myself, Commissioner Gray, Cameron Ray, Steve Albright were all meeting together at the town hall. We discussed a few ideas to move this action forward. Of course, we're trying to do this with everybody's cooperation and everybody's passion behind it. Of course, at the appropriate time, we're going to sit down with our neighboring town of Nags Head and discuss the ideas. The Nature Conservancy had in 2016 at least, had done a very thorough investigation of how sustainable fishing would be in the pond. In addition, they also kind of came up with a plan that could work as to access to the fresh pond through the Nature Conservancy. So we're those discussions halted at some point, but we're game planning, and we've come up with a good game plan, at least to try to move that forward again. And it was an exciting meeting. I think, hopefully we'll have something to come to the board with in the not too distant future, but there's definitely passion behind it. And I think it's hopefully going to happen. I mean, at one point it was very close to happening. So we're going to try to make that happen and get everybody on board. So we'll report back later. Next meeting, I think in between now and February for sure.
You're muted again, Mayor.
Oh, yeah, sir.
Oh my gosh. Oh Lordy. Anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to see what comes out of that. I have been Google Earthing the whole area a bunch lately, so I could become more familiar with it. It's hard to see in real life, but you can see it from the maps and see what potential might be there.
Yes.
So thank you for doing that, guys. I appreciate you looking into it and having those conversations with folks and finding out what's going on. I think those are the only two committees. Is there one I have not thought of?
WRG.
Well, I just want to, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Terry.
WRG, we're still planning to have a meeting mid-January, and we're going to be moving forward. I have had an individual approach me about pickleball. So that's going to be something that we're going to talk about at the WRG, and we'll see where it goes. I didn't know what it was, but it's really pretty interesting, to be honest with you. So we'll see. But that's all I had on that committee.
Yes, he gave me a call too, and I have some friends that are big into pickleball, and they're fans like anybody who's got a sport they're into. And I know there's some folks out there who'd love to see a pump track, whether it's a solid one or a one's made out of dirt somewhere a little more rural. We've got some land that might be suitable. So
yeah,
it's really all about stakeholders and seeing what they're interested in and trying to see what we can move forward. But thanks for investigating all those things. I'm sure that now that people know that it's happening, there'll be even more folks coming out of the woodwork with some good ideas for you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And Mayor, just to piggyback on Terry's, we did receive a $200,000 award from the Outer Banks Tourism Board. So I just wanted to mention that, which is the committee that I sit on. That was approved by the board in November and then approved by Dare County Commissioners in December last week, I believe. And so that's pretty exciting for Meekins Field. But in addition to that, there were a lot of really good projects that were funded. And the funding for us in particular was pretty positive, especially considering the nature of the last 10 months. So just some good work that the Outer Banks Tourism Board is doing, and just wanted people to be aware, because I know a lot of times there's just not that awareness of the projects that get funded by the tourism board. So
that's right. I think they just spent about $850,000, and the big multi-use path down in Buxton or Hatteras, I guess it's Hatteras Village. That's part of a multi-year plan that they've already put some in the tri-villages and in Avon, and this is the phase 3. It's very ambitious, and it's been 10 years in the making. So bravo that they've gotten to the point where they're going to put some shovels in the ground as early as a couple months from now, I think, right? Yeah. So
Mayor, if I could say one other thing, I'm gonna kind of jump guns here a little bit, and I'll scratch one of the things off of my commissioner's report. I was going to bring up the fact that we owe a lot of gratitude to Commissioner Ingram. She has been pushing that issue with the tourism board for the funding and trying to bring some of it home to KDH, and a lot of admiration. Ivy, you've done a great job, and you've really been persistent in bringing that to us. So thank you so very much.
Well, like I told you before, I don't think I really did anything, but I think it was a lot of good luck and just asked a few questions, and again, I don't think that did anything, but we got some good luck this time, so that's good.
Believe me, it did. I'm sure.
Yes, thank
That's
you.
right. Yeah, we all appreciate it. I've sat on that board before too, and it's always great discussions, and they have a nice pot of money, so we should always be going after some of it. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
a great year for us, where we're one of the projects that got funded, and we'll keep coming up with ideas for things we can do to improve bicycle and pedestrian and all sorts of other things, our parks and that sort of thing. So yeah, looking forward to getting some shovels in the ground on that one. That's coming around the corner. Everybody's very excited about it. I think we are now dovetailing into page 2, Commissioner's agenda. That kind of overlaps with those committee reports. Does anybody have anything in addition to what we've already covered in under Commissioners?
I wanted to, like I said, I took one thing off of my Commissioner's agenda now, and the second thing that I wanted to do, we talked about it a little bit earlier, and you received a lot of comments, and I received a lot of comments as well. I had one comment in particular that pertained to the fire department, police department taking Santa around. A business owner made the comment that they said, I really didn't have a lot of hopes for this year and wanted to get rid of 2020. And all of a sudden this happened, and it really made it feel like Christmas. And, that's the kind of effect that type of activity had on people. And just, very, very humbled to be able to say that I share a little bit of responsibility with a great fire department and a great police department. And they've really done well, and our admin staff that participated, hats off to them. They did a great job.
Yes, ditto. I think we all heard from constituents about Santa moving around, and I saw quotes like "I love my town" and things like that. It's very heartwarming to feel. And I've seen a lot of pictures of the Christmas lights around the town campus. Look really fantastic this year. The new paving makes it look nice in there too, but obviously the grounds look great, and all those lights look fantastic. And bravo to that whole team, the building and grounds team that's been out there making it look beautiful. Lots of folks taking pictures, taking pride in their community, and that's what I think we all want. That's why we're all doing what we're doing here, is to hope our fellow Kill Devil Hills residents can be proud of the town they live in, and bring a little joy to everybody's life in like we've talked about, a tough year. I think people are more into the holidays than usual this year. It probably has something to do with that.
Yep.
That's nice to see. I know I am. I'm more into it. I'm always into it, but I'm more into it than usual. So that's a good thing. Any other commissioner agenda items? Feel free to pipe in.
Mayor John Winley here. I have a couple of things. I received a citizen comment, rather stern but serious one, requesting that the town look into expanding twice a week trash collection to year round. I think every single year when we announce we're opening up trash collection twice a week, it gets a pretty warm reception online. And the opposite, it's kind of like daylight savings time. When daylight saving time goes away, people complain, and the same thing about twice a week trash collection. But it's expensive to provide that service. There's an extra toll on our equipment. There's more tipping fees. There's more staff expense considerations. But I reached out to Debbie, and the feedback that I got was the last time the board took a long look at twice a week trash collection was in 2009. So it's been quite a bit of time. And the idea I had was maybe we could ask staff to maybe do a feasibility study to see what the costs may be to expanding trash collection to twice a week year round. And then maybe I don't know if a public feedback, a comment would be wise, but a chance to kind of find out how much it would cost potentially, how we would potentially pay for it, and then invite the public to chime in on that. I do think it would be, positively greeted as an idea, but, it's not cheap either. So I got this comment. I just wanted to bring it to our board and see how you guys felt about it.
Right. I've heard from a few folks too, even folks that are on the team that rides the trucks. But I definitely see both sides of it. The positives we get as a town is that that personnel are the ones that put that pipe in the ground a couple weeks back, and they do a lot of big projects in the wintertime, fixing beach accesses and all sorts of stuff. And it's a great way to have some flexible labor when it's needed. You know, we can't really do a lot of those projects in the summer, but that labor is available in the winter. And folks, every now and then when somebody asks me about it, I say, you know, that you can buy a second trash can. If you have too much trash, it's easy to get a second one. It's no extra charge to have 2 rollouts for your house. I have a neighbor across the street, I think has 3. I don't know why they put out so much trash, but some folks do. Most of mine goes in the recycling. I hope it's going to a good place after it leaves the recycling bin. But yeah, it's worth a discussion, worth, you know, and for the folks who might be for it, if they found out what the price tag was, they might, it might change their mind about it. I know that all those years ago when it was looked at and when it switched to this, it was for a significant cost savings, and it does allow us to get some other projects done. So it's a kind of a double win.
I think,
But thanks for bringing that up. That's a good one.
Commissioner Gray looked into it. I think it was $70 or $69 for another trash can. Is that right?
It's six
Right.
off season, they have them on sale for $69 for an additional can.
That's also, yeah, something to consider too. Yeah.
I bought
Right.
one.
It seems like if it's not something that everyone needs, it seems like that would be the most cost-effective solution for the
Yeah.
town, at least.
Everybody being at home, creating a lot of garbage.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah, everybody's buying more paper towels, and where are they going?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. It hopefully we'll get back to some sort of normal inside the next 12 months. I'm trying to knock on some wood and hope it's earlier than that. But yeah, it's a good topic to look at. So
One more thing, and I'll be done.
Yeah.
We had some follow-up from our last CAC meeting in November. Cameron made a really good presentation about Meekins Field, and one of the things he shared was that Meekins Field and all the other parks around town and on our multi-use paths connecting them, the town's going to put out universally branded signs, let people know where they are, what other resources we have, but all with a clean cut KDH logo and message. Can we extend that same town branding to our beach accesses? When we go to our beach accesses now, we may see the sign about riptide safety. You'll see the CAC's cigarette butt receptacles and our signs about that. You may see the Adopt a Beach sign, and individual beach accesses may have their own signs for each one. Could those just be updated where when we start rolling out this signature signage in our parks and our paths, that the same signage style gets adopted at beach accesses, so you have a uniform KDH message and branding all throughout the town? This may be an idea we talk about here. It goes back to the CAC for consideration, and then we bring a recommendation back to the board.
I like that, John. I think that's a great idea. Adds class to everything if you have a uniform look, you know.
That's Dave Rollins' idea, not mine. I gotta give credit
Oh,
where
I
it came
like
from.
Dave.
I know it's not the first time. I don't remember how many years ago it was. Many years probably. There was a proliferation of signs problem at the beach accesses, and there was a big push to consolidate them and redesign them. But it has been some time now, so there's always room to improve. Just on that topic, I'm a big fan of making the beach accesses as beautiful as they can be, and hopefully we can spend some time this spring talking about more ways to encourage the public to get involved with that Adopt a Beach and take it from just cleaning up to, who knows, maybe some plantings or some other sprucing up that we can do there that gets some community involvement and some community pride at the same time. But I'm with you. Beautification on the beach access is a great way to put the best foot forward.
Just before I step away from this, would the board be comfortable? I mean, what is the timeline? Maybe Cameron can answer this. for these, for the signing package to be rolled out in parks? So this may be a down the road thing, but I just wanted to get some feedback because it was a lot of interest came out of that.
Commissioner Winley, Cameron right here. To answer your question, town staff's already working on developing some "You Are Here, What Else Is Around Town" signage. Our building and grounds division has worked on that for our parks, but also our beach accesses. So you'll be seeing those in the near
Okay.
future.
Well, good deal. I'm glad it's already been addressed.
Super.
That did
Yeah.
come out of some good WRG discussion of actually talking about aviation park. So we're gonna get that going.
Super. Yeah, communication and communicating what we're all about. Where people need the information, it's not always on your phone, right? So that's a great place to catch people when they're interested in being outdoors and looking at the other options that are nearby. I like it. We've been hopping around. I think John said that was the last item on his commissioner's
good.
agenda. Ivy, did you have anything else, BJ?
Well, just briefly, I wanted to, I was gonna also thank Ivy for her efforts, and we're excited about the grant from the Tourism Board. Wanted to repeat that I still am interested in trying to see if the plan for Meekins Field can be even grander or greater, or so I'm hoping there's still time that we can look at that Meekins Field. I mean, I know the West Side Group is primary behind that, but I still would like to see such a central park in the town, in the county, really, to be even grander than the base plan that we have. But just wanted to repeat that because I had said that previously, and we said we would have a time where we'd look at that again. And I still would like to have some input in that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think we're heading into budget season, and I think in January we'll be hearing more about how the fiscal situation ended up in the last couple of months, so that we have a better way to look at the 2021-22 budget, as well as where we're ending up. We borrowed a lot from the fund balance to get through the COVID era. We will need to kind of reassess and see how much we've been able to get back online. And we had some CIP projects that we put to the side that we need to put the money back for. But I think we're right around the corner in the next month or two to really have a better feel for where we are and where we might be next year. I think it's one of the toughest budget years to try to figure out what's going to happen this upcoming year. I'm in the business, and it's hard for us to know what's going to happen on the property management side, and then just the day travel and all that sort of thing. So hopefully we have a great year coming up for us. We're going to knock on wood there, and because revenue is going to drive whether we can expand that project. It's great that we got a bit more from the tourism board than we expected. We asked for even more than that. We got less than we asked for, but you're always just hopeful until you find out what the number is. Yeah, we'll definitely look at that coming up. I appreciate that, BJ.
Mayor, if I might,
Yes.
I think actually, Commissioner McAvoy, I think that the Cameron, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the WRG is done with that. And I think it actually does sit on our plate right now. I don't know that there's any more input that the WRG can have on it. And I think the Board of Commissioners would probably need to address it, make a decision. But I would fully support looking at that as you want, and trying to move forward with it with the budgetary restraints we have, and seeing if we can make it work. But I know you mentioned the WRG. I don't think I think they're done with that.
Done with it. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I just want to.
No, it's fine. But I didn't want you to think it was going back to them, because I don't think it can. Am I right in what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, they're an advisory group, and they've done their advising, and we have to make the tough decisions about
right.
Where we're going to go, how we're going to spend some money. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
It's been a tough year to figure out what's happening with the money. So we'll know more as we get the next report from the finance department next month.
But yeah, I agree with you, BJ. Let's look at it and see what we can do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, by all means. So I believe that wraps it up. Does that bring it to me? Where we got here? Well, we have mayor's agenda next.
That's you.
I had 2 items. One is we're going to look at, while I'm talking, take a peek at remind you to look at the commissioner's meeting schedule. Make sure that for 2021, that any of those dates look like they're going to be a problem for you. We want to approve this list tonight if we can. And, but if, you've got a vacation coming up or something, let us know and we might be able to move something around. They all look good to me. While you're looking over that, I want to make a quick plug for, of course, Thursday's fireworks, 7 p.m., Avalon Pier. Can't say strongly enough that we want everybody to have a safe time and look out for each other and your kids and your dog and all that sort of thing. But if you'd like to come out to the beach, please remember to wear a mask when you can't social distance, where you might be walking on and off the beach. And when you get out to the beach, and if you're just with your family, probably don't need a mask there, but as long as you keep that 6 feet between you and the next group. We don't want anybody gathering in big groups. We don't want to spread the virus around, but we do want to have some good time. So this is all about personal responsibility. We're giving it to you. We're going to try to have a good time, and hope everybody can look out for each other and enjoy something very unusual, fireworks in the wintertime, as we celebrate 100 years of powered flight, 117, is it? Yeah, 117 years of powered flight. Pretty amazing history we have here, and we get to celebrate it here in the off season in this unusual year of 2020. Circling back, how's everybody feeling about those proposed dates for our meetings in 2021?
I'll be the first to say I'm retired. It looks good to me.
Imagine that.
I have a conflict with February 8th, but it wouldn't help to move it to the Wednesday either. So that's my one day that I had a conflict with. Did anybody else have any conflicts with any dates?
I think they all look good to me, but we can consider another date for the February 8th. If that helps, we could do the following Monday, I believe.
So
We'd hate to miss you.
Yeah. Is there any way?
That's
the
President's
following
Day.
Monday, yes,
Oh,
President's Day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
Is
we
there
don't
a
want
way
to
we
do
could
that.
do Tuesday the 9th? That's better for me, but that's kind of I know we don't normally do Tuesdays, but Monday, Wednesdays mostly, but
I'm retired. That's good with me.
yes.
Staff want to weigh in on that? I don't know how often we deviate from the Monday, Wednesday.
There would be no issues with that Tuesday.
Thank you.
If you can make Tuesday, we'd much rather have everybody there when we can.
Yeah, that would be better for me if you guys can do it. Yeah,
The 9th,
the 9th. Yeah.
I'm good with that.
All right, and we can advertise that, and we can get everybody up to speed. Somebody's going to call me and make sure I don't show up the wrong day, right? I hope we're showing up by then. Hopefully we'll have got this down to a level we can meet in person again. So we're just think positive thoughts on that. If no one has any objections, I will say this list as amended, unless anybody else wants to make another amendment.
Second
No,
that.
looks good.
All right, we have a motion from the mayor and a second from Commissioner Gray. Is there any further discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none, how does Ms. Ingram vote?
Yes.
How does Mr. Windley vote?
Yes.
And how does Mr. McAvoy vote? Oh, wait.
Yes.
Yes, okay, and then I got me, and that's all of us. So we have our meeting scheduled for 2021. Thank you for that.
Thank you, guys.
I think that's all I've got. I will reserve judgment before the gavel comes down, but we'll move on to the town manager's agenda.
Nothing this evening. Thank you.
All right, well, is the town attorney here with us? Does he have an agenda?
Nothing from me, Mayor.
Oh, there you are. Thank you, sir. And the consent agenda, I know that's got a little bit of size to it.
Not too much, not too bad.
Not too
The
bad.
minutes from the November 9th, 2020 meeting, the monthly report from October 20th. The board's consensus on allowing the non-charitable special events Christmas tree lot. The Division of Water Resources grant acceptance, Kill Devil Hills Beach Protection Resolution. Approval of the consent agenda will authorize the town of Kill Devil Hills the execution of the grant. And lastly, and again, thank you, Commissioner Ingram, the approval of the Dare County Tourism Bureau Impact Grant for Meekins Field. Approval of the consent agenda will approve the board's acceptance of this grant, and staff recommends approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Commissioner
I'll
Ingram?
make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, go ahead, Ivy.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Right.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Ingram and a second from, was that Terry? I didn't see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, from Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? Hearing none, that we have 2 yes votes, Mr. Whitley
Yes.
and Mr. McAvoy,
Yes.
and a yes from me, and we have a consent agenda. All right, we have one more opportunity for public comment. Thank you, Ms. Diaz, for the consent agenda. We have one more opportunity for public comment. Is anybody out there who would like to make a public comment? Seeing
We have nothing in the chat.
All right, nothing in the chat. We will close public comment. No need to respond to no public comment. This is the last chance. Otherwise, we're looking for an adjournment or a motion to adjourn, rather.
Prior to that, Merry Christmas to everyone.
That's
Merry
right.
Christmas. Definitely Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adjourn. John
All right,
Winley.
we've got a motion for Mr. Winley to Merry Christmas our way on out of this thing, and a second from.
I second that motion.
Okay, was that a BJ, a McAvoy second? Any further discussion? The remaining votes are Mr. Gray
Yes.
and Mr. Winley.
I made the motion, yes.
Oh, you made the motion. Sorry, gosh. Who made the motion? Mr. McAvoy. Okay, we're all.
Yes.
We're adjourning now.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, you guys. Have a great and safe holiday. I'll see you guys on Thursday night.
See you then.
Good night.
There you
Good
go.
night.
See you Thursday.
Okay.